Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. This afternoon, Northern Regional Police Command destroys over 700 boxes of opioid drugs and other hard substances seized in ongoing clampdown on illicit drug trade in the country. Also coming up, lawyers or prime suspect in murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale called for an expedited trial in case against their client who is still in custody. Much later on the program, Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa assures plans are far advanced to receive the over 160 Ghanaian nationals earmarked for deportation from the United States of America. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, the Northern Regional Command of the Ghana Police Service has destroyed 750 boxes of different milligrams of opioid, including tramadol, other illicit substances seized in a major operation. Security services recently made a haul of the drugs as part of the ongoing campaign to clamp down on slew of hard drugs. Let's cross over now to my colleague Christopher Amarkon, who is monitoring this for us. Chris, first tell us about the operation that led to the seizure and the subsequent destruction.
Yes, so Beatrice, the Ghana Police Service over the past period have been conducting some operations in the Greater Tamale metropolis, to be precise, and this is to clamp down on the use and abuse of illicit drugs, including tramadol, cannabis, and others. And so today, the joint task force comprising the narcotics control people, the Ghana Police Service, Food and Drugs Authority, and other stakeholders came to the Balai landfill site to, as it were, destroy these drugs that were seized over the past 2 years. So this operation, as it were, is to ensure that the abuse of drugs is brought under control in the Greater Tamale metropolis. Some of the people who were also arrested during the operation have been prosecuted, and some of them are serving jail terms.
Chris, we had the MP for Garu join us on Agenda like 2 weeks ago, and he expressed grave worry, really, about opioids in that part of the country. Based on your own investigations as well, just tell us how widespread this problem is.
Beatrice, I must say that it is very, very serious when it comes to the northern parts of the country, especially in the Greater Tamale metropolis. The King and Overlord of Gabon has also indicated that it is widespread in the northern region, and so the security services must take immediate action to clamp down on the users of these opioids. As we speak, if you go to the two forest areas in the Greater Tamale metropolis, you talk about the one around the sports stadium and the one around Nobisco. These are areas that a lot of the youth go to abuse these drugs, and so more concerns have been raised by parents, religious leaders, traditional authorities on the need to clamp down on the abuse of these drugs. This has not only affected these children's lifestyle, it has also affected education, health, and others in the metropolis. As we speak, you go to schools, you see school children not in school but in these forests abusing these drugs. And so it is very serious, it is very severe, and stakeholders are calling on all well-meaning Ghanaians, especially residents in the northern parts of the country, to support the fight against these illicit drugs. Now, one worrying thing, Beatrice, is that these drugs enter the northern parts of the country through our unapproved border routes, and so the use of these drugs in the northern region is severe because there is easy access to these drugs.
Comprehensive. Thank you very much, Christopher Marco. He's our Northern Region correspondent. Meanwhile, former Executive Secretary of the Narcotics Control Commission, Beatrice Adu, has called for a long-term approach to the anti-drug trafficking interventions in Ghana.
My view is that we need to reevaluate the metrics we use for gauging anti-crime success. It is not so much about how many arrests we make, or the quantity of drugs. We also need to move our emphasis to long-term strategies rather than short-term solutions. We busted this here. 6 months later, we bust this. Is there any interconnectivity? Are the drugs that are being busted, are they connected to arms trade? I believe this information, if it gets to the presidency, the National Security Advisor, National Security Coordinator, Minister for Interior, need to put together a team, bipartisan team, just like we're talking, people who are well respected in the MPP and NDC, to re-evaluate these things, our approach, and look for long-term solutions.
And you had the former NACOC boss, Beatrice Adu, speaking earlier on agenda. Now, the youth in the Damang site catchment area of the Pristia-Huni Valley district in the Western region have welcomed the government's decision not to renew the lease of Goldfields Ghana Limited at the Daman mine. The youth, among other things, accused the company of its failure to contribute to human and community development. Well, on Wednesday, April 16, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister Emmanuel Amakofibua, at a media engagement, assured that no worker of the Daman mines will be jobless when the state takes over the concession from the 19th of April.
No employee at Daman will lose his job. There will be continuity, there will be protection, there will be security for all workers, for service contractors. Every contract in place will be honored, and we are going to make sure that processes will be very transparent. The government of Ghana, as you know, passed the local content law, and was the people of Ghana were at the forefront of this effort to empower Ghanaians and to make sure that Ghanaians are in the forefront of the mining industry. That is what is going to guide this process.
And you heard the Lands Minister, Emmanuel Amakofibua. Let's speak to Seth Wolashim. He is a mining consultant. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your cherished listeners.
Resources nationalism, as some may call it, looking at the way we seem to have managed state-run businesses, is this move a prudent one?
Well, I think that the concession was granted under certain conditions to be met by the investor. Now, if this has expired, I'm sure that there has been consultations between the government and the investor, trying to make sense of how far their activities have impacted the community and the country's, investment potential. So the minister spelled out a few breaches that, the investor did not make sure that they have a declared verifiable mineral reserves, and they have not put in place a technical program outlining operational history and plans, and then they have not actually allocated made budgetary allocations for exploration work. You see, mining is a very risky business. So I think that the investor has not been, fair to the government. And therefore, if the government is taking this step, I don't think it is out of place. The only problem I have is the deadline, the strict deadline of packing out by 18th or 19th, as it were.
I want you to hold on just a little bit as I play the sound of the young people who are agitating about the operations of this Daman mines.
In fact, when you go around and see what is going on in the catchment areas. Very, very pathetic. So we ask the government that it should have proper agreement with either the new company or Goldflows. It should have proper agreement with them to favor the community and Ghana as a whole.
Ejuma papa bie ni wa Goldflows omude maye. O shoye janu mo mbema ye bredes ye papa no. Se nye ball ejuma enye brabedo. One bi le ejuma papa ye wo. Inti Goldflows there.
What we can tell the government is we don't know the actual company coming and we don't want to encounter such challenges again. Whatever the community will say, I think the government will also abide by it, and then there will be judge and we all come into consensus. If new company is coming, one, potable drinking water and good roads, good drainage system, and then employment. Matter, you cannot employ all the top hierarchy from elsewhere. You have to consider the communities.
Irama Smith, TV3 News, Damang.
And you had there some youth of Daman. We still do have on the line with us, Mr. Wolashimi. You just had those people there. Indeed, they are concerned about development and jobs. What, from where you sit, are the potential economic implications of the government's decision to assume control?
Well, I think that in the minister's press statement, he assured the protection of jobs, safety, and everything else that was happening in terms of even the local content law, and people who have contracts with the mine were not going to be affected. So that is heartwarming, and at least it should make the indigents, happy to some extent. But what they are saying is they don't know who is coming to take over the mine, but whoever was coming to take over the mine is supposed to make sure that, certain needs of the community in which the mine is located are met. And I'm sure that with that, they should be able to support whoever is coming. And I will urge the government to also make sure that they don't renege on the kind of promises that the minister gave in his statement. So that there can be peace and the mine can continue running and providing the needed jobs and the resources to the people for their livelihood in the area.
My last question to you, having made that point, how do you think this move by the government could affect investor confidence in Ghana's mining sector?
Well, to some extent, we should be careful the kind of statement we put out there, because we are not an island on our own, and every investor, is looking at us and the way we treat potential investors or people who have invested in the country. So that is why I was not so happy with the strict deadline thing that the minister put out. But by and large, Ghana is a sovereign country. We have our laws and we have our priorities as a nation. And once we are clear in our minds what we want to do with the resource of the country, I think nobody should take that for granted. And I believe that this decision will yield the desired result that is supposed to be gotten from this decision.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Mr. Wolashimi.
Thank you.
And you had there Seth Wolashimi. He is a mining consultant. Thank you for sharing those views with us. Now, lawyers for the prime suspect in the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale are calling for an expedited trial. On Thursday, the prosecution requested some time to organize their case, compile document for transmission to the Attorney General, and seek legal advice before proceeding with the trial. Daniel Usu-Kranting was initially charged with one count of murder, but was amended. An amended charge sheet now includes an additional charge of abetment of crime. The prosecution alleges that Daniel led two accomplices currently at large to Ahmed Swale's home days before the murder. Here's the he's also facing a substantive murder case. Let's just listen to the lawyer here.
Basically, what we could surmise from proceedings is that the prosecution is just wasting our client's time. As of now, from March 18th, when they first arraigned him before court with their provisional charge sheet, which subsequently, April 2nd, they changed to 2 counts. As of today, they couldn't come with any dossier ready for transmittal to the ages to draw up their bill of indictment, nor anything towards the committal proceedings. There's nothing. They were just apologizing to the court that they will come back at the next agenda, that the court didn't give them any specific directives. But it goes without saying, there's a procedure. If you've charged the person with a provisional charge, be prepared towards the drawing up of the bill of indictment. So everything should lead towards that process. If you respect the rights of the citizenry, particularly someone just allegedly charged with an offense of murder, which makes it so dire that no court can easily or would want to easily grant the bill by exercising their discretion with some measure, so that nothing towards happens and it will ricochet back to them. Why did you let him go and now he's on the run? So when it comes to such type of offenses, I mean, we should speed it up. Because if we go to other jurisdictions, within a month or two, the trial is over. If the person is vindicated, he walks away a free man. If only you want to keep him, curtail his freedom, you should expedite trial and not waste the person's time. But this is our country. Unless they tell you it's not late enough, but we're talking about rights that are not supposed to be treated with levity. The freedom of movement and Article 14. It's not a right that if any man born free subjects that right to the state authority and be given liberties, should not be treated with levity, as stated by the Supreme Court. So we are looking at the next agreement that will come in. Though we're not happy with the adjournment, the date, but then the courts that we couldn't admit us. It is not the best of adjournments that we got. It should have been at least 2 weeks. But then, the court is inundated with cases. And these are all administrative clogs within our justice system. The law says that it should be at least 2 weeks. And we got almost a month of an adjournment. So I don't want to talk too much. This is why we've been saying, at least, let us respect the rights of the...
And you heard the lawyer for the prime suspect in the murder of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale speaking earlier to journalists. Some 19 minutes past the hour of 12. This is still the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. Now residents within La are at their wit end as they continuously appeal to the government to allocate funds for the speedy completion of the La General Hospital project to meet their health needs. Promises made to complete the hospital by government are beginning to sound like cliche, considering the slow pace of work on the project. Sri FM's Sarah Apenkro visited the project site and she reports very little progress of work. She joins us in the studio now. Sarah, great to have you. Just tell us more about the current state of the project. What did you see when you visited?
Well, so Beatrice, the last time we visited was on February 7th. And as at the time we went, there was still pallet work being done at the first floor. And unfortunately, we went 2 months after, which was yesterday. And there is not much happening. The same pallets being done, the OPD and the emergency, which is like the ground floor, you could see they have removed the woodworks happening. But then again,
the real work that needs to be done.
Exactly. And the staff accommodation is rather almost 98% completed. That they have even plastered the body. So then the question I was asking was, why do we complete a staff accommodation when the main facility
job is not done?
Has not even been completed? And the workforce on site is really an issue of concern.
And I know this is a story you've been following for quite some time. And one of the days you went there, for instance, the whole place had been barricaded. You couldn't even have access to go to the site where the construction is expected to happen. Today, when you went, did you see any contractor? Did they have any word?
Well, the contractor was not on site, and the site engineer who also supervises was not on site. But indeed, we always get information from the community because the project belongs to them. They own it. So they are always, it appears almost all the time, they are looking for progress on work being done. And when they are not happy, the media is their friend. So they will always come to us to follow up for them. Unfortunately, the contractor or any other official who could speak on the level of progress done, what are the challenges, was not available. But then again, our people who are the residents claim the contractor has not been given money to work. And so it appears the workers are just there doing one or two things and they will go. And so that's really the situation, and nothing much has happened since the last time we visited.
I know there has quite some extensive conversation with you as in the residents. I want us to listen to some of them and then we'll conclude our conversation.
Very frustrated because I don't go to hospital at any places. I just take medication. But if this place is supposed to be done now, I would probably have been here to maybe do check-up or something like that.
Say the economy too slow. Say come by the initial company to me account senka. Ombo modian baby or benyas kenny bibiano na. On penon found completing my
It's been too long. They should just complete it for us. We plead with the government.
And you had there some residents of La speaking about the need for the government to complete the La General Hospital. Sarah Pinko is still in the studio for us to wrap up our conversation. Sarah, what is next?
So next is we need to hear from government. We need to hear from the development partners if indeed there is any commitment on completing the La General Hospital, because the people are really frustrated and they just want to resign to faith and think that their project would be classified as one of those abandoned projects.
Thank you so much, Sarah Pinko, for bringing us the latest on this story. Now, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, will be commemorating its 50th anniversary this year. And Ghana is set to host the launch of the ECOWAS at 50 on the 22nd and 23rd of April 2025. The event will be opened by President John Mahama and will unveil the ECOWAS Golden Jubilee logo and theme, setting the stage for year-long celebrations across all member states. Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa announced dignitaries attending include the chair of the Authority of Heads of State, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria, the president of ECOWAS Commission, all ECOWAS heads of states, foreign affairs, foreign and finance ministers, and representatives of the Alliance of Sahel State. Meanwhile, Mr. Okudzeto Ablakwa also addressed the plight of roughly 160 Ghanaians facing deportation from the United States. The minister assured that the government is coordinating with all relevant agencies to ensure their safe and dignified return to their families.
Brief from our foreign service officials in Washington has not changed. We are still looking at roughly at about 160 Ghanaians on the deportation list. That number has not increased, and the deportations are going on. We decided on humanitarian and human rights grounds not to publicize the deportation. So when they arrive, our team welcomes them. We help them with integration and returning to their families. And we are working with other partners, NADMO, the Ministry of Interior, the IOM, and we are doing all of that quietly because it's important to respect the dignity of our fellow compatriots and not to subject them to media coverage and publicity that will injure their reputation and their ability to integrate, find work, and get their lives back. So that is going on, and we can provide updates anytime you want that.
Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Now stakes are high as the Central Regional Capital, Cape Coast, prepares to confirm a new mayor for the city. A total of 66 delegates comprising 45 elected assembly members and 21 government appointees will determine the fate of the president's MCE nominee, George Justice Arthur. George Justice Arthur, who is a former member and current Cape Coast South Constituency Secretary for the NDC, is seeking 100% confirmation from assembly members. Let's see what's happening there. Thomas Khan is currently in Cape Coast. He joins us live. Thomas, just bring us up to speed.
I'm currently at the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly, where the confirmation of the MP is just about started. But just a few minutes ago, the election or the confirmation of a presiding member was just done. And this presiding member, the nominee who was Godfred Abraham, who was seeking 100%, unfortunately had 72%, but he managed to sail through with out of the 66 votes cast, he had 47 of it, meaning that he had more than 2/3 of the votes. So now he's been confirmed as the presiding member for the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly. At the moment, we are waiting for the main event, which is the confirmation of the president's nominee, who happens to be George Justice Arthur. Currently, he serves as the Cape Coast South Constituency Secretary of the NDC, who the president nominated to be the new mayor of Cape Coast. The stakes are really high. When you come here, you can see a lot of the party supporters who are here, and as well as some residents who have also trooped to this place to witness the occasion. Some of them have been sharing their expectations from the assembly members. They are expecting that the assembly members would give him 100% vote to make him the mayor of Cape Coast. Beatrice.
Okay, so Cape Coast is very popular in terms of its tourist attraction and all that. So because of that, we get visitors day in and day out visiting the place. So we pray that our new brother, George Atta, the new mayor, should help with the sanitation and everything in Cape Coast.
The Oba create avenue na Oba mad Oba Damokwanan na Njuma Abakroyimu.
Thomas, beyond what we just heard, as in the people expressing, their wish, would you say that generally people are excited about what's going on and the confirmations happening so far?
Yes. There are lots of people who are really wishing that he's giving the nod, and then they want him to tackle a number of issues. You remember recently Cape Coast was recorded a number of cholera cases. So they want him to champion sanitation program to make sure that city is clean, so that next time there's any cholera outbreak, Cape Coast will not be named as one of the cities with cases.
Thank you very much, Thomas Khan. He is our Central Regional Correspondent. Bring us the latest from there. That's it for the news. You're on 3FM 92.7. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Beatrice Adu. Log on to shrinews.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.
Accra, Ghana, Africa, and worldwide. Join us on Inspirational Gospel Mix this and every Sunday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Get ready for the revolution. What you say now?
3FM.
What is your favorite scripture?
Well, my favorite scripture is Romans 8:28, and it says, all things work together for the good to them that love the Lord. Kwame, that is absolutely my favorite scripture.
Yes, your inspirational gospel mix, a moment to get inspired with the best of inspirational songs and interviews to get you prepared for the new week. Every Sunday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. with me, your big brother, Kwame Adu, mixing G, mixing gospel. You can't miss it. You are blessed as you listen. 3FM 92.7.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up this afternoon, Africa Center for Energy Policy calls for halt on Goldfields Damang mine closure and probe into the reasons.
A rushed and disputed decision not only risks international litigation and reputational damage, but also undermines investor confidence.
We have the details coming up. Also, Governor of the Central Bank assures financial stability is key to Ghana's economic recovery.
The external payment position has continued to improve, reflecting strong export performance driven by our gold for reserves efforts and remittance flows.
Plus, Ghana's service producer inflation eases to 7.2% in March, offering hope for price stability. We have details of these stories and a lot more coming to you shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome to the program. My name is Noble Crosby, and let's start off from here. The Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, is demanding an immediate halt to the government's directive for Goldfields Ghana Limited to vacate its Damang mine, Abossey Goldfields Limited, AGL, by April 18, 2025. ACEP's Executive Director Benjamin Boakye called for a thorough investigation into the reasons behind the closure to ensure transparency and fairness. Now, government has assumed operational control of the mine after it rejected an application from the company to renew its lease. He also urged the government to follow due process without emotions or sentiment, ensuring that all stakeholders are treated fairly.
The government's approach to this matter should reflect diligence, legal compliance, and a genuine commitment to long-term mineral wealth of our country. A rushed and disputed decision not only risks international litigation and reputational damage, but also undermines investor confidence and the rule of law. Already, the news portals have captured state officials, and also as implied in the minister's statement, that this is all an effort to nationalize the mine. If the policy direction of the government is to revisit the 1970s resource nationalization effort, which collapsed the mining industry until we registered investment right, we need clarity from the government on what will be different this time, to leave no doubt in the minds of the investors, especially when the required actions per the law are clear, but actions of implementers differ.
That was the Executive Director of ACEP, Benjamin Boakye, speaking there. Now, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Asiema, has affirmed that maintaining financial stability is a central pillar in the country's ongoing economic recovery efforts. Dr. Asiema emphasized that crucial role of a sound and resilient financial sector in supporting sustainable economic growth and building confidence. He highlighted that the Bank of Ghana remains committed to implementing policies that safeguard the stability of the financial system.
As the central bank, our mandate is to ensure price and financial stability, and this remains at the core of the recovery process. Inflation has continued on a disinflation path, reflecting tight monetary policy stance, improved foreign exchange market conditions, and easing global commodity pressures. These outcomes are not accidental. They reflect deliberate policy choices by the Bank of Ghana and other authorities, grounded in our understanding of local dynamics and national priorities. The external payment position has continued to improve, reflecting strong export performance driven by our gold for reserves efforts and remittance flows.
You heard the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Asima, assuring that financial stability is key to Ghana's economic recovery there. To some other stories this afternoon, the service producer price inflation SPPI in Ghana cooled to 7.2% in March 2025, a decrease of 0.6 percentage points from the 7.8% recorded in February. This indicates that the cost of service produced in the country increased by 7.2% between March 2024 and March 2025. There's more in the following 3 News Desk report.
Several sectors saw notable changes in inflation rates. The transport and storage inflation decreased by 2.3 percentage points to 20.4%, driven by a drop in land transportation inflation to 21.7%. Producer inflation for air transport remained unchanged. Accommodation and food service saw a significant drop of 6.5 percentage points to 22.6%, with accommodation activities at 23.1% and food and beverage service activities at 20%. Producer price inflation for information and communication was 4.1% in March, with programming and broadcasting activities experiencing the highest inflation at 26.3% and publishing activities at 6.1%. Telecommunication activities saw no change. The services producer inflation increased by 0.2% between February 2025 and March 2025, indicating a moderate growth in service prices. The moderation in the cost of producing services could potentially signal a broader easing of inflationary pressures within the Ghanaian economy, which has been grappling with rising prices.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on Ghana's service producer inflation cooling to 7.2% in March 2025. That'll be all for Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby, and have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.